Alright guys, what is going on? I'm Tubby Emu. This is a little bit of a spoiler, and the title's going to give it away, but Alberto Del Rio will take on Sheamus at WWE No Way Out for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, a lot of people pretty much saw this coming, so I don't think it's really too much of a spoiler, and people shouldn't be too mad. The reason being because a lot of people wanted to see Chris Jericho versus Randy Orton. I don't know if necessarily people really wanted to see that. I think a lot more people would have liked to see Chris Jericho have one more title reign. But I'm happy with this. I think it is a good, indication that the WWE is doing something right because, they invested in so much into CM Punk last year. They also invested a lot into Alberto Del Rio, and Alberto Del Rio ended up kind of fading away and, went away because of injuries. And then you have Sheamus, which is basically, and I don't want to say this because Sheamus was a world champion before, but he's almost Alberto Del Rio 2.0 a year later. And that really doesn't make sense because Sheamus was technically the first one. But what I mean by that is they invested so much into Sheamus as well. They built him up. They had him win the Royal Rumble. They had him win in 18 seconds, just like Del Rio, except Del Rio lost. So the whole Destiny thing didn't necessarily work out for Del Rio. Now that Del Rio's back in the picture, for some reason, WWE loves him. I don't know if it's Vince. I don't know if it's they're trying to keep a multiracial, represent everybody. You have Jinder Mahal represents the Indian community. You have, Sin Cara. You have Alberto Del Rio, you have Rey Mysterio, you have Sheamus representing the Irish, so it seems like they have a pretty, good variety. And I was a little shocked, I'm not going to say I wasn't, that, Sheamus did retain it over the limit. I was thinking, maybe he drops the title and he wasn't involved in the pinfall, but it's making Sheamus look really strong. He's taken beating after beating, look at the beating he took at Extreme Rules from Daniel Bryan. I absolutely did not think he was going to win that match. He was so beaten down his shoulder. He took a beating from Chris Jericho and Alberto Del Rio at the pay-per-view, and he still went out and retained. So to me, what does that say? I'm not ready to make a prediction yet because we still have to see where the build is going. And I know that the WWE has invested a lot into both of these guys. They really have. Del Rio is a heel. Sheamus is a face, obviously. The crowd loves him. Even though he has this anger problem, it's still a face-type reaction. It's not a heel by any means. And Ricardo's in some sort of stupid gimmick with Santino. It started from a show. I think it was just to advertise a show. I don't necessarily think it was going to come from anything. With, if you saw the segment where Santino came out and said, I can do a better job announcing than you. And I think he did. He actually did a good job. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you happy with Sheamus versus Alberto Del Rio, or would you have preferred to see Randy Orton versus Sheamus? Maybe Chris Jericho versus Sheamus? We're still a whiles away from Money in the Bank. We're 2 months away, and if Wade Barrett makes it back in time, I would look to see Wade Barrett win the Money in the Bank for SmackDown. Possibly Alberto Del Rio. He is featured on the poster that the WWE released for Money in the Bank. It's not really a poster necessarily. It's like a Mexican magazine cover is what I want to say it is. Like a rich time type thing. You guys can go look at it, Wrestling Inc. So that would to me mean he's going to have a significant part in Money in the Bank. So whether or not he's the champion going into Money in the Bank or whether he's going to win at Money in the Bank, I'm not really sure. But I want to know what you guys think. Leave it in the comment section below. My name, of course, is Tubby Emu, and I'm going to be bringing you the best coverage leading up to No Way Out, the pay-per-view. So guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, and you guys can go subscribe to the No Way Out show page. That way you get the information first and fast. Have a good day, guys. Tubby out.